everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about my birth, and for reference it has been about a year and 4 months since I gave birth, so I'm trying to remember and give you all the emotions and details behind it. On the 30th of March last year, so 2024, I was pregnant for 40 weeks and 6 days. So I was 6 days over my due date. I woke up and the first thing in the morning I went to the toilet, and on the paper I saw a mucus plug and I knew right away what it is. And I got excited. I was like, yes, but I also knew that it doesn't mean that things are gonna start right away. But my mucus plug was officially out. So there was something going on down there. During the whole day, I had just like gentle, irregular, crampy feelings. I would call them like the fake contractions or something like that. We went on a walk, got a hot shower, try to go asleep just in case something's about to start and I want to rest as much as possible. I did house chores. Everything was doable. The walking, the showering, the house chores was fine, but I could not sleep. In the afternoon, sometime we went to a little cafe close to our home to enjoy a possible last moment together. We went to the cafe, we got some like coffee, munched on some goodies from the bakery, and then we came home. It was nighttime and I was like, okay, I'll try to get a little sleep. I could not. They were soft, they were irregular, the contractions, but when you were lying down doing nothing, I was like almost falling asleep, and then the little contraction came along and it was like uncomfortable enough that I could not fall asleep, so I just got back up. At that point, we called our doula to keep her posted of what's going on, and then she also late at night sent us to the hot shower to see if it gets more intense or if it like calms down. So I did do that and it did not calm down. It was before midnight. It was like maybe 9 or 10 o'clock at night. And she was just ready. She had her phone next to her, but she went to bed and we stayed up checking the situation. Then around midnight we called her again. We woke her up and said that things are definitely getting more intense. I was still quite happy and energetic. Every time a contraction came, for the first time I had to like sit down or like be still and start breathing. Otherwise I was just like, oh, another contraction. I would just like kept on washing dishes or kept on walking around. But at around midnight it came to a point where I was just like being fun and games, and then the contraction came along and I had to like stop for the contraction, and then I was like, okay, I think it's time. So she got to sleep for like a few hours. Since it wasn't like an emergency already, she woke up, she told us she's gonna eat something, pack her bag and then come, and she was here at around 1 a.m. We put on a like meditative music from our TV. It was playing quietly in the background. It felt perfect in that moment. We tried relieving pain at home in different ways. I had an electric heating pad that we used on my stomach, on my back, every time I had a contraction, or even just in between to relax. My doula brought her like wooden hair comb that we called birthing comb. I held it in my hand, and every time a contraction came, I pushed the comb into my hand, so I would like make myself feel a bit pain in my hand, and that helped to like kind of like move the pain around the body, so I wasn't so focused on how painful it is in my like stomach and back, and that just kind of like distracted it. We obviously did a massage. My doula did some massage, then they switched, my boyfriend did it, just like using different pressure points on my back, on my hips. We used different breathing techniques, Thank God my doula was here. She was the one just guiding me through it, especially when the contraction came along. She was like, no, don't hold your breath, or let's breathe in through the nose and then let it out with a sound. And she would do the sounds with me, which was great because at first it felt weird to me to be the only one in the room and just like moaning. So she would just copy what I was doing. So if I breathe in and do an ah, then she would just do an ah with me. If I breathe in and do an ooh, then she would just do an ooh with me. And that kind of took the pressure off. It was amazing. Unfortunately, we don't have a bath. With my boyfriend, we went to the shower. I was just running hot water on my back and holding his hands while going through contractions. And we also had a scarf, and we used that scarf just pull from someplace so I could hold on to something, or we used it like I was on the floor on all fours, and we put the scarf around my belly. And when the contraction came, then either my doula or my boyfriend would like lift the stomach up with the scarf when the contraction came, and when it went away, then they would release the stomach slowly with the scarf. And my doula also did a similar thing while standing up. She came behind me, put her hands around me under my belly, and then when the contraction came, she would lift the belly up, and when it went away, then she would let it go down easily. And it hurt, but it was effective. I threw up once early in the morning. Could have been like 4 or 5 a.m. or something like that. I felt nauseous, so I threw up only once, and that was it. And my doula was also there, like, it's fine, it's totally okay, that's part of the process. I also had like, I think, diarrhea the same day, which was also kind of a sign that something might be starting. And I remember I kept telling myself it will get worse. Like, this is not it. Like, the first hours at night and in the middle of the night, I was telling myself it's still fake. Like, we're gonna invite the doula and it's not real and she will go back, and you know. But like a few hours later, I just kept telling myself that, okay, it's probably like real labor, but it's still not there yet. Like, I'm in the very, very beginning of the labor. Like, it has to be worse. I was just like determined that what I'm experiencing, the things that we're using to get through the contractions, it doesn't feel too bad. The contraction is over, then I was just there chilling, breathing, maybe snacking on something, drinking something, and it felt doable. And sometime during the early morning, around maybe like 7, 8 a.m., I kept asking to go to the hospital. And we had a certain plan to go as late as possible to stay in the safe, cozy home environment. And at around, I think, like 7 or 8, I was starting to talk about maybe we should go. And then my doula was just like, why? What are you feeling? What do you think is gonna be different? And then I was like, okay, yeah, there's no point, and we stayed at home. But around 9 a.m., I just felt like I'm done. I felt like my baby woke up, so I had to stop filming. He's now down for his second nap, so I am back. So at around 9 a.m., I was really craving some comfort from a warm bath. I was thinking it would give me what I needed to like relax my body. I think you have some kind of a voice in your head, like intuition. It was just telling me. I had asked for it a few more times before, and then we just brushed it off and we didn't start moving yet. And something was different. And I just felt like I need to be in a hospital environment. My doula and my boyfriend took me seriously this time. We packed our things and we went into our car. I live on the 3rd floor without an elevator, so I managed to walk downstairs. It was 9 in the morning on a Sunday. I just got outside on our apartment building and I had a contraction in front of the house. I was just leaning on our house and just moaning at 9 a.m. on a Sunday. It's about a 15 to 20 minute ride. I think we drove like 16, 17 minutes, and during that time I had 3 or 4 contractions in the car. And also my doula said that most likely if you're able to put the seatbelt on and sit quite normally in the car while having contractions, you're not that far yet. I had a seatbelt on, I was sitting, I was leaning forward, holding on to the seat in front of me, and I had contractions. And I managed pretty okay, I think. We got to the hospital, we got to the lobby. Our doula was the one doing all the paperwork. She had all the documents, everything. I don't know what happened, but something just came over me and I started hysterically crying in the lobby while she was doing the paperwork. I don't know what I was afraid of. Was it a relief that I got here and I didn't give birth in a car? Was it just a reality hitting me that now I have made it to the hospital, so I'm actually might be having the baby quite soon? The pregnancy is over. I don't know what it was. I think it was everything at once, and I just started hysterically crying there, like loudly crying, leaning over my boyfriend. Then the paperwork was done. I had done my crying, and they invited me into the little room there next to the administrative table to do the first checkup, to even like see, should you stay in the hospital, should you go back home. On the way to the hospital, my doula kept telling me that just prepare for everything, we might come back home, we might stay there. So I went there alone. Usually they check the pulse of the baby, then they check if you're dilated and how much. But they told me to describe like how long has it been going on, the contractions, how far off are they. By that time my contractions were still irregular, which was also why we were doubtful of going to the hospital, because it was like 5 minutes, then it was 2 minutes. It wasn't just like 5, 5, 5, 4, 4, 4, 3, 3. That's what I was waiting for. That's why we were putting off going to the hospital, and it was just 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, just all over the place. And just by what I described and how I looked, how I sounded, she decided to skip checking the heart rate of the baby and just go straight into checking the dilation. So I just had to remove everything below my waist, all the clothes, and she checked how dilated I am. And the biggest surprise ever, I was 9 centimeters dilated. At that moment, I remember just a rush flowing over me. I just could not believe what I had just heard. I was ready that they're telling me, oh, you have irregular contractions. Go back home, you're only, I don't know, 2 centimeters dilated. No, I was 9 centimeters. It was a good thing that she only did that, because she was like, oh boy, this baby is coming any minute now. We don't have time right now to do the heart rate checkup here. Here's the robe. Please put it on, change your clothes. And then they brought the wheelchair to me, and I stepped outside of the little room there, and I looked at my doula and my boyfriend. I was like, did you hear how dilated I am? They're like, no, what is it? I was like, it was 9. And they were just shocked, just as I was. So I sat in the wheelchair. I was prepared to be going to in Estonia we have like pre-birthing room. And that is a place that you usually only get to go alone. If you're in a kind of a middle state, like you're far enough to be not sent home, you have to stay in the hospital, but you're not far enough to give birth like immediately. So you have this like middle ground. I was afraid to go there also. They rushed me to the birthing room. I wanted a room with a bath. First they put us into a room that didn't have a bath. Then my doula asked for one that has a bath. They took us to one only room they had left right now with a bath, and the bath was broken. So I did not get to sit in a bath at all. That was one thing that I really wanted and I just couldn't get. But also it didn't matter that much, because I mostly wanted a bath to go there during the contraction time. But as we found out, I've done almost like most of that time I spent at home. So I only would have had an option to give birth in a bath that I didn't have at the end. Since I was already in the safe space, really in a room where I could have given birth any minute now, then they decided to do this CTG, is it called? They checked the heart rate of the baby, and everything was great. The machine on my belly moved a little bit when I moved, and then it left a little like suspicious place in there. They told me that okay, if I want, they can do another checkup. My point was that I wanted to move around. So they put the one attached to my belly, the one that checks your contractions and the baby's heartbeat. And they said that if there's any problem with it, it doesn't connect, they have, I don't know, they see some issues there, then I'm gonna have to go lie down and they're gonna use it like a stationary version of it. But thank God I moved around, everything worked and I didn't have to sit down. I moved around, I did the same things we did at home. We also did a thing that was really painful, but my doula really wanted me to do it to help along the process. I had to raise one leg onto the side of the bath, like I was doing lunges type beat during a contraction. That helped to like move the baby. They offered me gas and I refused because I was thinking I got this far. I got to 9 centimeters without using any help. I can make it till the end. So I refused gas. And then we were left there. We did everything quite the same and my contractions were still like, it was 4 minutes, then it was 2 minutes. It wasn't the same like constantly. It was still like a bit irregular, but it wasn't so irregular that it was like 10 minutes or something. No, it wasn't that bad. About like 2.5 hours later, midwife came in to check and things were still the same. She asked me to lie down to check what is going on because I didn't feel the urge to push or nothing had happened. And then she realized that my waters had been dripping all this time, but just dripping. When she was touching it from the inside, she felt like the sack of water is just blocking the way. So they broke my waters and immediately I started feeling the need, the urge to push. So we tried different positions. I was on all fours on the bed. I was squatting on the floor and nothing really worked. So then the midwife came in, offered me the birthing seat on the floor and I sat on that, and then finally my baby was born on the birthing seat about an hour later. They told me later that I had a quite small blood loss and I had a few little first-degree tears that didn't really get stitched, but I had one second-degree tear into my perineum, that's what it's called, and they did have to stitch that up. We did skin to skin right after, we did skin to skin with the father right after, and we stayed in the like birthing room for a few hours. I think it was like 3 hours or something. They also brought me food. Then they sent us to our family room. So a room that has 2 beds so that our whole family could stay there together, where we ended up staying for 2 nights and our doula got to go home and sleep finally. And my baby was born exactly on the 41st week of pregnancy, so exactly 1 week over the due date, just a little before 2 p.m. The whole delivery lasted for about 12 hours in total, which is pretty good, I think, for a first time labor. I did have one problem after birth, and it was with peeing. I had an issue with emptying the bladder, so my bladder got emptied once a few hours after giving birth with a little needle. So they emptied my bladder for me, and that did not help because I had a problem that I felt like I have to pee all the time and I wasn't able to pee, and that feeling lasted overnight. It was pretty much okay the next morning. I couldn't even sleep because I constantly felt the need that I'm gonna pee myself, like my bladder is so full. And they even came to check up on me once and said that the bladder is not full at all. So I had just this weird sensation from the pushing, but thankfully it went away by the next day, and that was it. Also, when I did get to pee, then that also hurt because I had to do it like I was pushing the baby out. That's how it felt. From all of that, I had a severe neck and head pain that lasted for a few days. I couldn't turn my head much. It was just hurting so bad. It was better by the time I got home, but the whole like 2-3 days at the hospital, it just sucked. The neck and my head just made everything so much more worse. We were pretty scared to go home, but when we got home, it was actually much better and calmer here. It was just scary to leave the safe hospital environment where you have every help and doctors a call away. At home, everything was, further if anything was to happen, but nothing ever happened. And we felt immediately better when we got home. And I don't know if having low expectations for my birth was the thing that did the trick. I don't know if having doula, or was it just everything all together, but the whole birthing experience was very, very good, and everything went well, and I would 100% do it again. I'm thankful that it went the way that it did. You can go ahead and let me know down below, how did your birth go? What expectations did you have? What went differently, or did everything go similar to the way that you imagined it would go? And I will see you in the next one.